Boom! According to that, I am live. 2 minutes late, running around last minute as usual. Wow, it's been a week, it's been a day. How are you all doing? Great to see so many people, as always, here in the chat. Kind of amazing. And actually, I've got two things before we even get into the topics to talk about. But let's say hello first. First of all, we've got Potluck Sushi. Well, Kubra Senshi made it in here first, so credit to you. You get first place. Thank you for coming in every week. Really appreciate it, Kubra Senshi. Great to see you. Potluck Sushi, again, promoting his channel, I guess. But yes, nice to have you in here. I hope you enjoy the content. DJ Sunny Side Up, making it in third. Now, if you didn't see over before on Tokyo Digital Crew, I did win the MASH battle again. However, DJ Sunny Side Up, he actually joined me. I did an impromptu 2.5 hour long stream aimed at people like Tudom, 160 beats per minute for people who want to use it for a running mix. I mixed all my music that is in G major that is worth mixing. It went on for quite a long time. Even it went on to like 2 a.m. in the morning, my time. So that was it got turned into a marathon, but yeah, it's a really good mix. So go check that out on Tokyo Digital Crew. And yeah, I won the MASH battle this week, but it was a really fun mashup. Play that funky music. I mean, you can't really go wrong, and they're both fantastic mixes. I'm really enjoying doing it every week. DJ Sunny sat up in the middle of the show last night when I was mashing and playing around with Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. He was like, okay, we're doing this for the MASH battle. So challenge accepted, sir. I'm going to turn the air conditioning off because that is getting noisy, and actually it's not that cold right now. Getting warmer in Tokyo. So yeah, the MASH battle this week. Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. Can't wait. Bring it DJ Sunny Side Up. It was a great, we're having some great battles, and actually the skills, it's really just coming down, to the, I don't think the technical difference is really there. It's just purely what we're coming up with every week. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. If you want to see me, the full version of me actually doing a pretty long mix and a lot of extra stuff, go check that out on Tokyo Digital Crew. What else we got going on here? Whoops, I thought I had a message there, which I do not have, so that is good. Well, Sadiq is in here. Great to see you, Sadiq. Popporo Kagawa. I don't recognize the handle name, so always great to see a new handle name. Thank you for coming and joining us. You are most welcome to join, and great to have you in the comments. Thank you for saying hello. We've got Lara in as usual. Hope you're having a great day. That is an interesting thumbnail image. Yes, I thought, I was talking to, I've been using AI like a lot. This is part of what I'm going to talk about later on for work, and I'm trying to use it to try to make these setups a little bit less hectic and so on. It is actually pretty amazing what you can do with it right now. And yeah, I'm kind of like, hey, my channel's not growing. I mean, I've got my regular crowd who I love and I'm very happy with, but there's no new discovery. It's not really getting picked up by the algorithm or anything like that, which again, I'm cool with, but I'm always like, so, I was going through, I was like, hey, let's just make some processes to make the setup of the show easier. I said, what do you think about my thumbnail and my title? And it said, well, if you're using the same thumbnail all the time, YouTube will just ignore it and not, it won't promote it. The same way that when I do a title that has "and more" on the end of it, says YouTube doesn't like that and people won't click on that, so get rid of that. It suggested just picking up one story and so on. So I'm taking the advice where it suggested, yeah, you should have on the thumbnail, not make it the same every week. It suggested have something, stated and regular, but vary some part of it. So there is a bit of a formula of having an image of the person making an overreacting face. And an interesting image, and I thought like having a manga sort of mashup of the subject matter and title might be fun. It is a bit chaotic, it's hard to read the background, but we'll see. Hopefully we'll see if it creates any new clicks or interest anyway. I just want people who want to find the content find it, right? And apparently what I've been doing is not good algorithm wise, so that's what's behind that. But thank you for noticing. Yes, I was expecting the Japanese Prime Minister as well on the thumbnail. I think the Japanese Prime Minister, I asked for the Japanese Prime Minister to be on the thumbnail, a manga version, and it actually turned into someone you wouldn't recognize as the Prime Minister. In fact, I can't see the thumbnail right now, but I was a little bit like, oh my god, that's almost like a propaganda version of it. But yeah. Anyway, we've got Tudom made in here. So I will be sending you the newest running mix that I made for 160 beats per minute. Hope that you enjoy it. I had fun making it. Also, Tudom and Lara, looking forward to seeing you both on March the 30th, Monday, March the 30th for Louis C.K. And big announcement for everybody here. I actually, after buying these tickets in May last year, so like how long ago now? 10 months ago. A crazy long time ago, I bought these tickets and I never went back and checked anything. And Victor was like, hey, can you just check like you've got enough tickets and, you know, how much do I owe you for them and all of that. And at the time, I think we talked about that Victor had a couple of people lined up and I offered some people, and we had the 2 people who accepted the idea of coming out and spending the night. At the time, I got 8 tickets. And I thought that they were all accounted for. I had in my head that Victor had 5 and I have my 3, myself and Tadom and Lara. I'm very much looking forward to hanging out with everybody and going out and watching Louis C.K. Turns out Victor only had 1 person. So we have 5 tickets accounted for, 3 unaccounted for. And this show is week after next, Monday. Apparently, originally there was only 1 show in Tokyo and it was completely sold out. So they made another show which is also completely sold out. You cannot get tickets for the show at the moment. You know, it's a popular show. If you would like to spend the evening with the excellent company of Tadom and Lara and Give Me a Break Man and myself, if you'd like to hang out with us and get access to a show that you can't buy tickets for the cost of the ticket for 10,500 yen, I've got 3 of them. Victor's going to promote this on his channel as well. If you're around in Tokyo and just want to hang out, that's free. The ticket you have to pay for. But we'll probably go out for drinks or something after and hang out for a bit. It will be a lot of fun and it should be a great show. The show, like I say, super popular. First come, first served. If you're around in Tokyo and can join us or can make it to Tokyo and can join us, yeah, I think Victor, myself, Lara, Tadom will be great company. And yeah, we've got 3 free tickets. So yes, the ticket you'll have to pay for. So it's not a giveaway or anything like that, but if you're interested and would like to join us, it should be a lot of fun. Kind of a little special sort of a meetup with the coolest commenters and hosts that we have for this. So that is the first of the big announcements that I had. I'm going to keep going through the greetings and so on. We've got Shibas in here. Not afraid any longer. I'm glad that our man from Panama has made it. By the way, Erin mentioned last night that she's got some stuff going on and probably is not going to be able to join these shows until late. Understandable, life happens sometimes, but yes, so we'll probably see her in here a bit later. Got Yabba Dabba Do real soon now, indeed. Who else? We've got Andrew Moboy in from Melbourne, late at night in Melbourne. Glad that you can make it, as always. Great to see you. We've got more comments. Yes, my comments hadn't updated, but I see it here now. Workday tomorrow and midnight your way, indeed. I appreciate you staying up and saying hello. Quint Rankid, great to see you, Quint Rankid. Do appreciate you coming in every week. And yeah, we've got Poporo Kago saying hello. Who else we got in here? We're going to speed it up, go through. We've got hi from Athens, indeed, where, like everywhere at the moment, that middle of the year, the equinox, this weekend, we've got a long weekend. Friday was a holiday because of the spring equinox. This weekend was also supposed to be the start of an early Hanami in Tokyo. Did not happen. The cold weather, the cold burst that we've had over the last week has delayed the cherry blossoms. I went out for a lovely run today. I've been taking videos about running with running advice while I've been running, but I haven't edited or posted any of them. I've got to figure that out as well. I've got too many things. This is why I need AI, because I can't get all the things done. But it was beautiful. I was running by a river with the cherry blossoms starting to blossom, but nowhere near full blossom. Apparently some places like Osaka and Nagoya right now full bloom, but Tokyo probably this week is going to happen. So a great time to be coming to Tokyo, and not just to go see Louis C.K. and get one of the 3 tickets that I need to account for. Great time to come here. But yes, indeed, the tussle between spring and winter, definitely a thing. And Southern Hemisphere as well, tussle between autumn and summer, I suppose. It's the opposite way around, but yes, indeed. I guess if you've seen one of his videos, then I guess his work here is done. Go, adios. Vaya con Dios, I think is how they say it. So there we go. Anyway, what else have we got here? Yeah, the weather here's been up and down, but it's better. Oh my God, you've had your 6th kidney stone. Can I go for a Guinness Book of Man Black Tengu? Well, salutations to you. I get my I wave my creatine cup to you. I had one of those. I had 2 actually. Now that I think about it, I had 2. I went to the hospital for each one. It was the worst experience in terms of pain of my entire life. The second one, I called an ambulance. I don't know how you could pass a sixth. I became so terrified of them. By the way, I don't know what you'd, other than completely avoiding everything that is, including a lot of very healthy food. A lot of healthy foods can cause kidney stones, and it's completely unavoidable. You cannot eat foods that do not cause kidney stones. I came to the end conclusion after going to some rhinologists, I think they're called, a kidney expert, that you just have to drink lots and lots of water. Like enough water to pee 5 times a day generally is enough to make sure that you're flushing your kidneys. Or in America they're saying like a gallon or something, like 2 liters. But 5 times, man, I am so, do not want to go through that ever again. I'm so sorry that you've had to go through a 6th kidney stone. That is miserable. Please keep drinking that water. And yeah, the delicious Greek food, I don't know if that it's probably more the heat that contributes to it than that. But man, that sucks. Sorry to hear that, man. Black Pill Red, great to see you. And you made it. Glad that you did. Always miss the lives, usually crash by 20. And that is a very healthy lifestyle. Poporo Kagawa, I'm glad that you made it to this one. We've got K-Stuff, bought an $800 vintage Japanese turntable. Not sure how it works. Woke up in a panic, but now you can watch Tokyo Tonight. Wow. That's cool. I'm really curious about the turntable. I mean, I've got the world standard, the Technics SL1200. I've got 2 of them over here, and they are Japanese as well. But I know what you mean. There are some real, like all things in Japan, there are high-end, expensive, maniac type stuff out there. And I'm sure you got some really fancy. I hope it's at least direct drive for $800, and you're not messing with a belt drive or something. But yeah. By the way, my voice and the video are out of sync. You know what? I've noticed that on a few of my videos lately. Even as I look at the screen of myself right now, and I wonder if that's because I'm going through an extra camera software to this and it's causing a delay. That's super annoying. I hope it's watchable. If it's really bad, well, I can't really do anything about it. I could switch to a webcam, which is probably lower latency. If it is bad, tell me, and I'll switch the camera, actually. What could possibly go wrong? No, but seriously, I've got a webcam right behind this one. This is better quality, but if it's too laggy, forget about it. In fact, I should actually... I'm going to try... This being an Apple camera, it's possible. Sometimes the settings will detect it, where it'll actually just take over the camera directly. But if that were happening, then I wouldn't be able to use camo camera. Let's have a look. Okay, I'm going to switch over directly to my Apple camera, which should just look exactly the same. Maybe it'll be better. Okay. Let me just quickly check that my phone is happy. Are you sure I want to connect? No, I don't want to. Yeah, I mean, I want to disconnect the other one, but yes, okay. Whoa, that is very zoomed in. Crap, that is extremely zoomed in. Oh well. But it is now using my phone. This is part of having a Mac, is that I can now have my... Holy cow. Hopefully this will be more in sync. I don't know, is it less in sync? You can the resolution is amazing. So yeah, Apple does allow. Oh, I know what. It's because I flipped the camera over. It messes with that. Well, anyway, hopefully that is alarmingly big. Wow, you can. The resolution is terrifying. Anyway, I just switched over to the native. The iPhone camera will connect natively with the Mac, so I just tried that. So hope that works. Anyway, going through quickly, what else have we got? Can't wait for Louis C.K. Can't wait to see you and to Dom and Victor. It'll be great to see everybody there and to go to the show together. It should be a lot of fun. Lamb. Did someone say lamb party? You ready for the lamb part of March? Is there a lamb part of March? I thought, well, I'm from New Zealand where every where every day was a lamb party, but there we go. Laser surgery to blast the kidney stones. I've heard you can do that, and I heard if you've got really scary ones, that's... Oh, do they use laser or is it like ultrasound? But I've heard that you can like explode them, which sounds really cool. But it releases a lot of germs, and you have to take tons of antibiotics to avoid those like messing you up. But it's good that you can fix it. So yes, who pees less than 5 times? I've peed less than 5 times. That's how I got a kidney stone. I just wasn't drinking enough, so that can be a thing. Jay Mott's made it. She hopes everyone is okay. I hope that you're okay. Great to have you in here as always. I hope I'm not skipping anybody. I keep saying Jane Motz because that is what it says now, but it's Jane Motz, of course. I really can't stand that YouTube decided to suddenly hide all of our own chosen names up there. We'll get to Trump's Pearl Harbor remarks. Definitely, that is on the agenda. So I think I've got everybody who commented anyway. It is copable. It is only a millisecond out of sync. Is it better now? I'm curious. Has this made it? Sync is better, says Lara. So okay, it's worth it. It's worth taking the tech issue roll of the dice. I am just going to put the camera a little bit further back because even I am disturbed. You can actually make out my pores. The resolution is not just better, it is absolutely terrifying. So, okay. Oh, looks quite good, actually. This is the thing. This is where you go all Apple. Okay, a couple of things. Oh, and before I even get to my study, wow, I am never going to actually... yeah, I'm never going to get to the topics at this rate. I got two things to show you. One thing is this. Booyah. I'm not an Apple guy, I swear, but I now have a Mac. I have an MacBook Neo. I have an iPhone. I have an iPad. I have AirPods. But I swear I'm not a Mac guy. This one is cheap, it's cool, and at work, all of the best AI apps. And right now, I mean, I'm working like crazy with AI, but the guys who get dibs and first options on all the new AI stuff are all the Mac users. For some reason, all the AI apps get released on Mac before they come out on Windows, and I'm jealous. I always need to be first when it comes to getting the tech. So I went and got the cheapest laptop because all the AI apps that I use are cloud-based. You don't run them on the device. So I figured the cheap one should be good enough. I'm going to take it to work and use it as a work device and show off loudly. That is the first thing, just showing that off. You're never going to see it again. I'm taking that to work. Second thing is, funny thing happened to me yesterday. Yeah, we are never going to get to the topics. Okay. I was walking up to the local bread shop in a very nice neighborhood that I'm in. I mean, literally, I like to, just for an idea of the type of neighborhood that I'm in, the rugby team that I used to coach, they literally look like the orchestra and they act like the orchestra. That's the problem. They weren't a very good rugby team. We used to go and play against kids from other like districts in Tokyo who looked like, they hadn't been fed enough food and were just fed on meat and anger growing up. And these kids looked like the band got lost. That is how nice the neighborhood I live in is. It's quite well to do. Not a famous neighborhood, but it's quite well to do, and very nice families and everything. So I'm walking to the bread shop, and as I go to the bread shop, a Mercedes-Benz ahead of me is pulled over, parked temporarily, and a woman gets out, a nicely dressed woman and a nicely sort of dressed probably teenage daughter student. Sort of sitting in the car, again, looking like a sort of a wealthy family. It's a brand new Mercedes-Benz. And the woman's kind of, shouting at the guy in the car. And the guy in the car suddenly gets out of the car and storms around. He must have been like about 50 years old. The wife probably about 40 or 40-something. And, walked around, hand raised in the air, and walks up to her and punches her hard in the head. About, 4-5 meters away from me, about 15 feet away from me. So I'm like, and he punched her so hard in the head that you could hear the noise, and her AirPod went flying out of her ear onto the ground. They kept sort of shouting and arguing, and I saw this. I'm like, holy crap. So I stopped walking immediately, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, locked in, right? And I'm kind of like, the adrenaline goes, and I'm like, do I have to jump in? Like, do I have to, do I have to get involved? I did think, what would Victor do in this situation? And whatever he would do, I would not do. Victor, of course, has a famous video where he actually set up the camera to record himself, and then went and attacked the guy. and then the girl jumped on his back and attacked him when he went and attacked the guy who was punching and kicking his girlfriend. Not the same sort of situation as Victor's video at all, and probably not what you should do anyway. But I was thinking, if this carries on, I'm gonna get in, intervene. He started walking back towards the car. They were still shouting, but then she noticed. The thing is, other people are just walking by in the background. People don't want any part of it. Very Japan thing. But I'm still standing there thinking, are you okay? Like, I was worried about the woman, and I was like, are you okay? And I got my camera out because I was thinking, if I've got to be a witness for something, like if we're going to, one, I was thinking call the police. And two, I was thinking, maybe take a photo of the car and the guy, as evidence or whatever. At some point in the middle of the argument, the wife noticed that I was like standing very close by, staring at them and approaching. And she said, well, look, now you're making a scene. You're drawing attention. Look at what you've done. Shouting at the guy. So I walked up to her and I said, hey, lady, I saw everything. Do you want me to call the police? I'm happy to be a witness for you. I saw what he punched you in the head really hard. I saw it. It's not acceptable. And then I turned over to the car and I said, I saw you punch her in the head, guy. I'm going to call the police, okay? I'm going to call the police. I started shouting at the guy. And the woman was like, no, just leave him. He's just atama okashi kara. He's just a weirdo. It's fine. I'm fine. Don't worry about it, she says to me. I'm like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, and then she was about to walk away with her daughter. I said, well, your AirPods are on the ground over there. And she bent over, picked them up and walked away. I actually, when I went to go take a photo of the car, I didn't realize till after, I actually bumped the camera. And for some reason, I triggered a self-taking video rather than taking a photo of the car. So it has the audio from when I was threatening to call the police. But the camera is just pointed at my crotch. So the whole video is of my crotch, with the soundtrack being me shouting at the guy in the car that I better call the cops, and asking the woman if she's okay, and sort of walking with her for a little bit afterwards to check that she was okay and walking away. But, got the adrenaline going. I've never, 27 years in Japan, I've never seen that sort of thing. And yeah, I must admit, and there's that thing where you sort of, should I have done something more about it? And I could have called the police anyway. It's all thinking about domestic things, right? That, often people involved don't want to call, but, I could have called the police. He went and punched a woman in the head. He punched his wife in the head in public. So he could still be charged with that, even if she doesn't want to. Although, in Japan, especially the police don't want to do anything if she doesn't want to cooperate. But anyway, it was just like, but it happened. They walked out in the street and it happened right in front of her. He hit her really hard. I was so shocked, and I was kind of like, there's another thing as well. I've never been in a fight in my life. I mean, not really. I've been in rugby altercations and stuff, and I've one time, even in like, elementary school, when I was attacked by someone who I could have honestly wasted, but I didn't. I love Muay Thai. I love fighting. I love playing rugby. I'm fine with contact and whatever. And it got me in the habit, particularly playing rugby, where you notice when you've tackled guys bigger than you, and you start to realize when you walk around later, you start sizing people up a little bit, and you visually think, oh, I could take that guy. Yeah, I could take that guy. And in Japan, honestly, because I'm taller than everybody, it's very... honestly, it's not something which really comes into it. But when I was thinking about, do I jump into the middle of this, there's a moment where, the guy was short and old, and, honestly, would have been absolutely nothing. It would have been like accosting a kid, frankly, to get involved. So there's no fear of that. But, my body, just the adrenaline kicked in. I was ready to go. I didn't do it, and that was probably the right thing. And certainly taking care. I think I did everything more or less the right way. I'm still wondering if I should have called the police in that situation. I was really shocking and upsetting, actually, to see it. And that guy could and should be in jail, honestly, but there you go. Quinn Rankett actually makes an excellent point. This is a thing, actually, that happens in Japan. It's a thing that happens a lot to foreigners. I know foreigners who do get into fights easily, particularly as I played rugby, and I knew a lot of English teachers back in the day who would drink too much. And they would size up, they'd see little Japanese guys, and they would think, oh, this is going to be easy, and they would get into fights a little bit too easily. And then they would find out that these Japanese guys... Japan is a country where you often hear of people in altercations on trains or on train platforms end up killing the other person because they are often martial arts experts. It's also a thing where if you are a martial arts expert and you get into an assault and anything happens, they treat it as assault with a deadly, the joke that my hands are registered as deadly weapons. In Japan, that's literally it. If you are a martial arts expert and you assault somebody, that's treated as aggravated assault. It's treated as assault with a weapon because people were getting killed. In altercation. So definitely this is actually a problem. You don't want to get into fights anyway, but if you do, certainly it's possible that while this guy, I'm like, oh, I could have taken the guy. But honestly, yeah, he could have actually been he could have done a 4-finger secret. He could have killed me instantly. Who knows? And, you just don't want to get into this sort of thing anyway. But anyway, it was a moment. It was a weird thing. Dan H., glad that you could make it. To Dom, a lover, not a fighter. The world definitely needs more of that. By the way, so I'm calling the cops. My my new ringtone. No, I don't. I don't. Well, I don't know. I could maybe make a release version of that. But there we go. By the way, for people who want Louis C.K. tickets, I'm worried I'm going to miss it here in the live comments. So please message me. The best way is, it's actually below this. I'll put my socials on. I should do this more often. My socials are in the information of this video, but you can DM me on Twitter, on Facebook or Blue Sky, or whatever other social media. You can't do it on YouTube anymore, unfortunately. But get in touch with me. First come, first served. So Victor gets someone first. His people get priority or whatever. We'll go by timestamp. But yeah, the first 3 people will be able to get tickets, which you have to pay for. But you can come join us for Louis C.K. Anyway, that said, it is 28 minutes past, and it's time to start the topics. There are actually quite a lot today. So, not that we've ever had this problem before. First one that is super interesting. For all of this, I mean, okay, where to begin talking about Iran at the moment and the behavior of the commander-in-chief of the most powerful military in the world. I'm wondering, like, just for total, the level of stupid involved in the Gulf War against Iraq, literally making up, one, that they supported Al-Qaeda, that the Iraqi government supported Al-Qaeda when they did not, and that they had weapons of mass destruction. I mean, they were scumbags, and they deserved everything that kind of happened to them. But the idea that, this would be a great idea to go and do a land invasion of a country that doesn't want them to come there, and the amount of lives that cost, at least the pretexts that were used for that war were ridiculous. But at the same time, I mean, this is just a straight out. This is the old guy punching his wife in the head on the street. Except I suppose Iran, again, no sympathy for the government of Iran, but at the same time, this whole mess, including that, okay, now, all of the energy infrastructure in the Middle East is getting destroyed, and there's nothing America can seem to do to stop it, even though they are sure that they've already won and they've already wiped everything out. Apparently, Iran's got plenty of capability still to close the Strait of Hormuz and to attack all their neighbors still ongoing. And, the whole thing where when Britain was the first country to say, hey, we're willing to help out America, 3 days after the war started, and Trump was like, no, it's too late. You're just trying to claim our victory after it's already had it, screw off. And then 3 days later saying, well, if you don't help us, because, America apparently didn't come with any plan for keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. And because all those ships are being rocketed and droned or whatever, the Americans are too afraid, it seems, to actually, mitigate the consequences of what they're doing by protecting shipping going through there. So they're saying, hey, you will get the benefit of the, the shipping going through there, which wouldn't be in danger if, America hadn't, done what it did and without consulting with anybody. So then he starts threatening countries that if NATO doesn't help, we're going to remember it, and calling nations out, including the nations he just told a couple of days before to screw off, and then saying Japan and, South Korea, China, all you guys need the Strait of Hormuz, so you guys should all make a plan because we're not going to do anything about it. We'll just keep bombing the coast so that you can go through. So, America going through this, we don't need you. You're cowards. We're threatening you. You need to come in and do this. And in the meantime, it's funny. And in the middle of this, Japan this week, Takaichi, the Prime Minister of Japan, shows up in America, meets Trump. Trump apparently using the meeting to highlight what a great friend and ally Japan is, and how much more unhappy with NATO than with Japan. Again, I mean, NATO didn't even know that this was going to happen. This is something, NATO's a victim of this. But fine, more upset with NATO than Japan. Japan can't actually militarily help America. It's been the case in every war, and they went over to explain this, that they're constitutionally limited from doing this. They can support peacekeeping operations or areas where there is existing peace, maybe outside of the Persian Gulf. But they have promised, it's not clear how Japan is going to help, but they came out and they said that they'll help in various different ways. And the meeting, by all accounts, as we'll get to, apparently went very well between Takaichi and Trump. And he used it as an opportunity to throw more rocks at Europe for not helping him with his secret sneak attack, which we'll get to as well. However, in the meantime, Iran just reached out to Japan and said, hey, Japan, you guys are cool. Your ships can totally go through. We won't attack your ships, we promise. In fact, we'll actually take steps to make sure that your ships will be okay. We love you guys, and thank you for all the anime. I've talked at length before for years about the special relationship that Japan has with Iran. Japan's the only country, one of the only Western allied countries, which actually has permission to buy Iranian oil when everyone else is like sanctioned from doing it. Japan has a special, long-going relationship, friendship with Iran. And it's funny, while Trump is trying to threaten Japan, along with other countries, into, joining its coalition fighting against Iran, including, by escorting ships through Hormuz, Iran's like, Japan? Well, we love you guys. No, you guys are cool. Just go on through. You're fine. Now, just because Iran said that, doesn't mean that the people who are firing the rockets will be able to tell which tankers are going to Japan, which tankers are Japanese. Maybe if the tanker is Japanese, they'll be able to tell, but a lot of the tankers that go to Japan are not Japanese. Like they're flagged from other nations, so it's hard to tell. And it's also pretty clear at the moment that most of the people in Iran firing rockets are not under the control of the central government. It's how Iran works. It's how the Iran Revolutionary Guard works, is that it kind of works like, it's distributed control. So they're acting a bit independently right now is one thing. So just because the government says it's okay, not necessarily the case. And also, you're not going to get insurance for going through the Strait of Hormuz at the moment anyway. So, while it's one thing, and it does give some assurance that if Japan were to put Navy forces nearby, which it did during the Gulf War for supplying and stuff like that, but not participating, it's possible that there are ways that Japan could actually meaningfully participate in an area that's safe. And knowing that they've actually got a free pass from Iran is actually a good thing as well. And I don't think this is Iran, well, possibly it is them trying to split the allies, but it's also pointing out that, it's different approaches to diplomacy. America has basically had its approach of basically threatening and humiliating its friends and, threatening force all the time and over, doing what America sort of does in the worst ways possible lately. And Japan's policy has been not being assholes to people. And that policy of just not being an asshole for an extended period of time. And by the way, I'm not 100% in favor. Japan's policy with regards to the Middle East is completely pragmatic. Japan has no relationship with Israel because Israel, frankly, has nothing to sell Japan. The Arab nations, which have a lot to sell Japan, Japan is 90 to 95% dependent on the energy that comes out of the Persian Gulf. So Japan is nice with all of the countries there, including countries that don't like each other, like Saudi Arabia and lately, United Arab Emirates, Qatar and Iran. They all don't like each other. Japan is best friends with all of them. And it's been this way for like 50, 60 years. It's the foundation of Japan's foreign policy. Since it can't put bases all over the Middle East, it has a don't be an arsehole to the people their policy. And it's, in this case, paying off. So that is an interesting thing. I don't know if it actually means anything in terms of Japan's ability to get energy out. And we are facing an absolute crisis in terms of fuel supplies and shortages in prices and so on. And this is going to affect the whole world. I mean, even if things start moving now, there's still just the time it'll take to catch up, as well as the damage that's already happened. For example, you take the natural gas field attacks that have happened in Iran and Qatar now. This is wonderful for Russia, who's going to use all the money that it makes out of this from sanctions being lifted to keep pummeling Ukraine, which it shouldn't be allowed to do. But in any case, it is super interesting just to see that Japan's friendship with Iran, in a small way, paying off anyway. Dan H., you don't understand why the Japanese media was so pro Takaichi after she returned. The positive press made it made out like she solved and made peace in the Middle East. I don't think it's quite like that. No, there were two goals of her visit to Trump. One was to basically not see any more damage or anything get worse, which is how things have been getting with America lately. No new tariffs, no threats, no abusive go to join our military or else or anything like that. It was both to go there and it was there to kiss his ass, basically, just like Shinzo Abe did, and make him feel good, and at the same time, while standing right in front of him, to not be noticed by Senpai. And to the extent that nothing got worse for Japan, and America doesn't seem to have directed any negative attention towards Japan, and she got out of there clean, it's considered a success, where people were really worried that this could be forcing Japan into a real crisis. So I think people were relieved at how well it went, and she's getting credit for basically having gone in there and even having sat grit teeth a little bit through his Pearl Harbor gag. Which he made in front of Abe as well. I mean, we've been through all of this before. And by the way, the Pearl Harbor thing, it was super cringe. But he's done it before. I was interested how NHK would cover it, so I watched that. NHK's coverage was, well, this seems to be a success. She seems to have gotten, everything that Japan wanted to get out of it. She went in there. She sort of maintained the relationship. Nothing got worse. Yeah, he mentioned it came up as like a second or third story. He let out a mention about how we think sneak attacks are great and the Japanese know all about that. We're saying that I love how the Japanese media covered it. Rather than commenting directly, they said they noted, American commentators noticed that was the one moment that Takaichi's smile appeared to disappear for a moment. She did look super awkward just for that moment. But he was cracking a joke and looking around the room for approval. But yeah, I mean, certainly the way that she flattered him and just went along with everything, it was a little bit hard to watch. But everyone basically understood that's what you sort of had to do. You had to go in there, kiss his ass, and try to get out without anything bad happening to you. And in that regard, it was a super success. Believe me, it could have gone a lot worse. We've seen it go a lot worse with a lot of countries. So there you go. Yeah, fight himself, Diego Garcia. So UK, I mean, they've already attacked the UK bases in Cyprus as well. When UK said it wanted to respond to that, Trump said that the UK was trying to steal credit for their win or something like that. So, anyway, it's a huge mess. But Japan getting through it in its own way, its non-arsehole strategy, which is, I don't know, maybe there's a lesson in there. Just to note, the sakuras are out. I took a photo of some on Instagram today. You're the best. Great to see you. Glad that you could join it. And by the way, appeasement hasn't worked with Iran. It hasn't worked with Iran, but at the same time, Iran has policy. It's got a religious fatwa against creating nuclear weapons. On the one hand, certainly it believes in having the right to develop the means to develop nuclear weapons, which Japan has as well. Japan has enriched uranium and so on. But certainly, when you've got a country there that is, constantly attacking other countries through proxies, through, Yemen and through Syria and through groups in Lebanon, is constantly firing missiles at people and attacking people, and at the same time proclaiming that their goal is to make countries cease to exist. That makes those countries, I think, have a legitimate right to self-defense. None of those countries are America. Well, I suppose they want America to disappear as well, but none of those countries are technically America. I mean, great. If America wants to contribute to the Keep Bibi Netanyahu Out of Jail for Corruption campaign, and Netanyahu needs a war to, put off his corruption trial happening, and America wants to join that, great. But, I don't think that anything has materially changed per se. Like I say, given, to me, the most other than the fact that Iran just keeps causing wars and attacking people all over the region anyway, and this was always coming back. This is always going to come back and bite them. But even worse than that, the fact that in 2 days they killed up to 35,000 people of their own people protesting against their own government back in January. Again, it's unfortunate because, again, you've got a school, 150 kids killed. It's not always the right people who get the retaliation and so on. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, the UK MOD said that the attack on Cyprus wasn't by Iran. Well, apparently the attack was by Hezbollah, right? The rockets were launched by Hezbollah, which is the same as Iran. I mean, it is the same. Those are Iranian rockets and drones that are being launched by Hezbollah under the instruction and guidance of Iran. So, apparently it was still proxies. The proxies of Iran are the same thing. You can't, Hezbollah and, even Hamas, attacking Israel were basically doing it, quite often with Iranian weapons and training. So, as well as the Houthis and everything else, attacking everybody. So, no, anyway. But look, UK sort of they wanted to join, and then America said, no, you can't join. And then they said, if you don't join, you're a coward. And then they said, you're a coward. And then they said, I'm not very happy with you. I mean, I don't know. It's like being married to a crazy person. The cherry blossoms are beautiful. Much more important topics here. The cherry blossoms are great. They're coming out. Probably this week is going to be a beautiful day today. I went out for a 12-kilometer run. I ran it super slow. I ran about, just under 1.5 hours. But very much enjoyed that. I'll try to take some running Hanami stuff. This came up. I'm not really a big Yakuza. If you want to hear about Yakuza, go and talk to the Yakuza guy, Jake Adelstein. But apparently this story points out that Yakuza are being put in a really tough situation by the phase out of 3G old-fashioned phones and the switch over to all 4G and 5G networks, because so many prefectures now have laws against... as the article explains, as you know, Yakuza in Japan being very organized. I mean, when you call it organized crime, Japan, put the organized into organized crime. Japanese organized crime is so organized that they are literally, every member of organized crime are literally registered with their local governments, names, address, everything. And if you're on one of those lists as being a member of a violence group, as a borukudan is the legal term for a Yakuza group, is a violence group. If you are an official registered member of your local violence group, involved in antisocial activities, activities that are against society. These are registered with the government. The government says that you are not allowed to do many things, including opening a bank account, engaging in all kinds of contracts and business deals, including contracts for mobile phones. And all the major mobile phone carriers basically have commitments that they will not provide phone contracts or telephones to anybody who is a member of a registered violence group. As seems perfectly reasonable, but the problem is, so these guys have these old early 1990s phones that were basically 3G, and they couldn't upgrade them, and and they've been holding on to those phones for decades, and they're about to phase out service for those old phones. And so I don't know what they're supposed to use: pigeons, smoke signals. Maybe they can get those pages that Hezbollah was using. I have no idea what they're going to do, but apparently, if you are ever concerned, some people actually say that this is actually discrimination. There is an angle to this. A lot of members of violence groups in Japan are actually members of discriminated underclasses, particularly the old lower two classes on the caste system, who faced a lot of historical discrimination, particularly in Western Japan, and would face employment discrimination. And so just by being an outcast from society, they would kind of take revenge by joining one of these groups. And racial groups like Korean residents and so on, there's a high proportion of people, again, for the same reasons, out of discrimination and deciding to join an antisocial group. Society sort of outed them first. And people point out that this is effectively a way of rounding a group of people up by discriminating against them, and then, after forcing them to become gangsters, legally discriminating against them, but perpetuating the cycle of violence or whatever. But there again, why should you give someone, why should you do business with someone, allowing someone to do business with a violence group whose entire business model is extortion, is opening up the possibility that they're going to corrupt your business, as used to happen in the past. So yeah, hey Maddie6878, great to see you there. Oops, I clicked on the wrong comment. There you go. So anyway, the violence group's having trouble with their telephones. I don't know, maybe they can go back to faxes. Seriously, actually, it's not even a bad idea. People make fun of the faxes in Japan, by the way, but actually a lot of government departments do rely on the faxes because, pardon me, it's a reliable technology when everything else breaks down. But there you go. If you haven't seen Battlestar Galactica, then you probably don't appreciate how important faxes are. Go watch it. The new series, not the old. The old series, probably the message wouldn't get across. Interesting. So I know these updates are happening all the time. Inevitably, the number of foreign tourists, we've just hit a record number of foreign tourists. We had in February 3.5 million tourists come to Japan, which is a record for February. So while the largest group of tourists coming to Japan was from mainland China, and they are now almost universally boycotting Japan, or being forced to boycott Japan. The Chinese themselves are not boycotting Japan. They want to come here, and individual tourists are still coming. But China, out of frustration that people were still coming, has banned group tours, and it has shut down the air routes directly between China and Japan in punishment for Japan, suggesting that China shouldn't be assholes and attack Taiwan. Expecting devastation to happen to Japan's tourist industry as a result. No, Japan still has just had a record number of tourists. In fact, I've skipped ahead here. I'm talking about it too soon. We've just had a record number of tourists. In fact, I think it was the first story that I had. That one's about a record number of foreigners. Wow, I've got so many stories here. How am I going to get through this? But yeah, in spite of that, other tourist numbers are making up for it, and those other tourists are spending more money when they come here. So if anything, honestly, if these tourist increases would have happened anyway, the Chinese boycott is probably saving Japan actually at the moment, because it's barely coping with the number of foreign tourists that it has, who are pretty much all going to the same places all at the same time, which I think is both terrible. Part of me wants to say, no, you should spread out and see the whole country. But part of me is like, you know what? No, you should all go to Akasaka and leave my area alone and not let it get too crowded. So yeah, Maddie6878. Thank you for liking the video, even though you have no idea what I'm talking about. I always try to be understandable, but I appreciate the support, even in my complete incoherence. So on the one hand, you've got increasing number of tourists, and in that drowning in that wave of tourists, you still actually have, we've just hit 4 million residents now. When I got to Japan, and back in the old days, I mean, I came here in the 20th century, 1999. It was a great party. There were like less than 1 million foreign residents at that time, and they were mostly Korean foreign residents and Chinese, whereas now it's just amazing. Of course, somebody pointed out, they see 4.13 million, people will assume, oh, that's all going to be Westerners, and not, when it's really made up of Vietnamese and Chinese and so on. Yes, people often are so vain that they think that the song is about them. It is definitely, Westerners tend to see that and think that foreigners mean foreigners like them. Foreigners like us as residents are still pretty small. I think Tokyo, as a town, I remember of native English speakers, it's definitely more than the 30,000 little cowboy town that it used to be. But it's not that much bigger. It's definitely overwhelmingly Asian residents. Yeah, we're already up to 4.13 million. New Zealand's like on about 5.5 million right now. So it's pretty easy to see how maybe by 2030 it's going to end up being like more foreigners in Japan than in New Zealand. It is a dramatic increase, and it is actually remarkable when you consider that crime has gone down dramatically since 2010. So for all the things associated with more immigration in other countries, probably the fact that you can't just walk into Japan. You have to come through an airport. You have to apply for a visa. There are overstayers in Japan, but it's not. Japan is much better able to control immigration, you got to say it's relatively well managed here. We're not having the problems associated with other countries and people saying, no, Japan don't do immigration. Japan is doing immigration big time, but it's managed pretty well. And maybe instead of opposing it, people should actually be, Japan could be doing a lot of things better. The thing is, though, although the number of foreigners has dramatically increased, you can't really tell whether the residents have increased or not, because there are so many freaking tourists carrying, wheeling around suitcases, walking the wrong direction, in the crushing flows of people in train stations, annoying everyone. They make it almost invisible to see the foreign. Certainly you go into a convenience store, there's almost no Japanese staff anymore. So things like that, it is reasonably obvious that there are people who are resident here who are foreigners. But yeah, people ask me, by the way, with the Chinese boycott, is it noticeable the drop in tourism in Tokyo? To which I said no. And it turns out that's the case. And you know what? If it was 3.5 million in February, when the weather is probably the crappiest of the entire year, March, April, cherry blossom season, it's going to be crazy here. So that number's definitely going to go up. So yeah, more foreigners, more tourists, more residents. And there we go. They can't solve the stolen bike problem, which was never really a foreigner problem. That was a Japanese on Japanese crime problem. And but at the same time, I think even that happens less than it used to. But yeah. Oh, pardon me. A bit croaky in the voice. Okay, we've got 9 minutes and about 10 stories to cover. We can do this. Oh, yes, I've been meaning to say this. So yes, I have been using okay, yeah, I've been using AI like a bunch. That's partly why I got the laptop, and I'm really going deep. I'm actually considering putting up videos talking about how I am using AI agents to help with my day-to-day stuff, including I will eventually get it incorporated into helping set up the show. because I'm working with AI so much, I type fast. I can type faster than I can handwrite. I can type test 95 words per minute. Yet, as you can hear, I can also talk. I can talk endlessly, rapidly, without much substance, but I can get a lot of words out. And when I'm doing a lot of things, like, for example, when I'm explaining how I put together Tokyo Tonight every week, and I'm explaining it to my AI to figure out the ways that I can get it to sort of help me work with that, I can type all of this out, or I can just talk to it. And if I talk to it, I've discovered this software. I asked what's some good, someone who works at using voice-to-text transcription. It's built into all the operating systems. It's just not very good. I started using this software. I went shopping around for a good one to use of that. And somewhere in here, maybe it's right at the beginning. Yeah, I started using Wispr Flow, and I'm paying like 900 yen a month, which is about $6 a month for this now. I went through a trial of a month and a half of using it, and it's really, really good. It's amazing. It cleans up what I'm saying. It makes what I'm saying more understandable than it is to myself when I said it, honestly. It cleans up live on the go. It's super accurate and impressive. It works on my Mac, on my computer, on my mobile phones, and I'm using it for everything because I'm finding right now I'm interacting so much with my computers, and I type fast, but my hands get tired, and I just want to sit around and just talk and just explain stuff. So I'm doing this. I'm using this a lot at the moment, and it's one of the best acquisitions I've made lately. So it actually says, hey, if you get somebody else to sign up, you get a month of it for free. I get $6 back if someone else signs up for it using my referral code. I'm not sponsored or anything like that. This is literally just something that I've found which is super useful now that I'm like typing a lot, mainly because of my use of AI tools. So I've put my referral link down the bottom. If you want to try it out anyway, use the referral link. And I get a free month out of it. But even if you don't, it's just something which I recommend. And in terms of what I'm doing with Anthropic and Claude Cowork, and even ChatGPT, but I'm actually using Claude, a lot of Anthropic at the moment. It's been super amazing. So if you're interested, I can make a show just talking about what I'm doing with that if you're interested. Whoa, Aaron made it in here. Great to see you. And Ben Duncan, glad that you made it as well. By the way, another repeat. If you are in Tokyo or coming to Tokyo and interested to see a sold-out Louis C.K. show, I have 3 tickets that I thought were accounted for and are not. If you want to join, give me a break, man. Victor, myself, Lara, and Tudom on Monday, March the 30th, to go and see a show for which you cannot get tickets, to go and see Louis C.K. in Tokyo and hang out with us for the evening. The tickets are 10,500 yen. Let me know, first and first served, and we'll allocate those. Don't do it in the comments here because these comments will disappear and I won't catch it. Message me through other social media, and whoever messaged first will go through on a timeline basis. For that, we'll account for who gets the tickets. Japan. Okay, this is me being snarky. Apparently they discovered there is a cloud of alcohol near the center of our galaxy, which I suspect is a conspiracy by scientists to get the UK to invest more in space. Interesting, controversial comment here on Sora News that Japan's budget change Siberia might be the perfect first date location. It certainly is. If you want to find out that she's really actually into you and not trying to take advantage of you to get a free dinner, take her to Siberia. I actually used to believe in that. I used to definitely believe in splitting the bill. I mean, when I was barely making any money, and when I was working in Japanese companies, I was not making my savings. And for me, it was always like, do you want to be here? Show a mutual sign of interest. Yeah, I'll take you out to a place, but we'll split the bill. And I had some girls who would get pissed off at that. But I wouldn't do it like, I think now if I take people out for lunch, I'm more comfortable in life, and I think sometimes it's actually appropriate for me to shout just because I'm more able to pay. But yeah, when it was all equal and when it was a dating situation, I used to totally do that. Siberia, it's a pretty intense, but I love Siberia. It's actually, it's a very low budget, more Italian themed than genuine Italian, but I know Italian people who actually like it. I don't know if Lara's going to consider that blasphemy. We already have all caps, so okay, maybe not such a good idea. But seriously, it's pretty good, and especially if your Italian girlfriend is very poor. I don't know, maybe she would appreciate. No, she probably wouldn't. Maybe take a French girlfriend there. I don't know, but Siberia is actually legit pretty good food. I've long argued that with the Okinawa, with the return of the Marines base in Futenma, that they returned that land to the Japanese people in order to go and move the Marine base to a new base in Hinoko, which is basically built over a reef. It's not taking land from anyone. It's all reclaimed land. People in Okinawa just don't want the Marines there at all, and they're fighting back against it. But America, basically, after years of Japan arguing that, no, this is better, it's good for America, it lets people get their land back. Okinawa people, please be cool with this deal. Okinawa people saying, no, Yankee, go home, we don't want anybody. And after years of this, and basically Okinawa Prefecture and the Okinawa governor being opposed to any base in Okinawa, even though I actually thought that the Hinoko solution was a great solution, moving, relocating, America's now turned around and said, you know what, the new Hinoko one, unless we get permission to destroy more coral and build a longer runway there, we like the long runway that's at Futenma, so we're just going to keep both. And they're saying that without even the Japanese government, which is the one technically representing America here, having sign off on that. So yeah, America continuing its very carefully, well thought out strategy of just being an asshole to everybody. Ryugu, this is the Japanese probe, the first ever probe to ever land on an asteroid. Not only to land on an asteroid, but to get a sample and bring it back to Earth and return it. Japan never got the credit that I thought it really deserved for this. Not only that, but what they're now, apart from, they already found all these organic compounds and stuff, but they're now even finding the bases of RNA and DNA inside of this asteroid, implying that the building blocks to life could already be formed and floating around in space. I love this sort of science stuff, and it's really crazy how the science here is just amazing what Japan has achieved with this. Real estate prices going up in Japan, now achieving an average price around Tokyo of above 100 million yen, or for the first time in 6 months anyway. I do worry. It's a good thing that prices are now going up and people can actually get money back for their investments, but I do worry that foreign speculators coming and buying land in Tokyo is going to turn Tokyo into what happened in New Zealand and Australia and America, where house prices and rents are out of control. Sanai Takaichi sat there and took it pretty much. It kissed ass and got out of the room without getting into any trouble, including that awkward Pearl Harbor comment, and conveyed to her, Trump, Japan's support for his effort to bring peace to the world. Apparently not sarcastic, but that is, I mean, look, I love America. I really do love America. And I love American people, and I defend America against. And the reason I believe in America is that American people are good, and it has a robust institutional structure that really prevents, assholes from getting out of control. But the institutions there are really, really getting under a lot of stress at the moment. And, I know some people think that that's a good thing, but yeah, I'm not liking the way that things are happening. Japan absolutely going over there, and instead of standing up for what's right, it's like, watching the guy getting punched in the woman getting punched in the head. There's a school of thought that you should be Superman and intervene and, get into a fight, get into every fight for justice that you see. And there's another one that says that, look, be responsible and helpful, but don't get yourself wrapped up in anything that's probably going to backfire and make things worse. And that is Japan's approach, and it is pragmatic, and I think it's more or less the best way to deal with America at the moment. Speaking of dealing with bullshit, Governor Koike of Tokyo, apparently the governor of Tottori, was complaining, all these people going away to Tokyo, they've got some crazy old woman there running the place, apparently. The old, very elderly, chauvinist governor of Tottori made some comment about how he hates that they're losing all their people to Tokyo and how it's run by some old hag. To which she responded, well, sexist assholes like this guy are exactly like why women are running away from his prefecture to places like Tokyo, and, and is worried that the women who remain in Tottori are going to suffer under the sort of mentality of a governor like that, which is, it's actually pretty rare for, while Japan does have powerful and successful women in politics, including Koike, who could have been a prime minister, and Takaichi, they don't often speak up on sexism or women's issues. But I must admit, Koike, I mean, that was a layup. And she hit that one out. All these prefectures who are suffering from depopulation and so on, and saying that they need more money to stop all the young people running away from their screaming, without ever the thought that it might have something to do with their bad breath and being assholes. I've used that word a lot today, but it's appropriate. The problems that they have are not a problem of a lack of funding or, Tokyo having more taxes or something like that. Tokyo is just a place where you can be a human, and they've got to actually look at why people are running away, not assuming that Tokyo is somehow bribing everyone to move. Interesting poll here. Over 90% of residents in Saitama Prefecture are happy with life, which I find amazing given that the poll was taken in Saitama Prefecture. It's a bad town. There's not a lot. I mean, it's not a bad place, actually. I do wonder what's happening with the other 10, but it's good to see people there are okay. And yeah, Iran ready to help the passage of Japan's ships in Hormuz. So Iran loves Japan so much. They're literally willing to directly help Japan get its stuff safely through Hormuz, which is great. And shows that paying off. I've heard rumors here, by the way, on the Japan Expert Insights show, Langley Esquire today, talking about the Prime Minister of Japan. As all Prime Ministers of Japan, they always go and visit Arlington Cemetery. And there's talk about possibly having the Japanese Prime Minister not only visit Yasukuni Shrine, but even persuade. They've been trying for decades to try to persuade an American president to normalize the going to Yasukuni in the same way as it is for foreign dignitaries and for U.S. presidents to visit Arlington Cemetery. For people who think that going to Yasukuni should be normal, they argue it's the same as going to Arlington. It's paying tribute to the war dead. And most people have understood that while there is that argument from the Japanese perspective, the Koreans and the Chinese don't see it that way. However, there's also an argument that Trump just might be the guy to do it. And so there is speculation that she may have tried to persuade Trump when he comes back to Japan pretty soon to visit Yasukuni Shrine with her. Yeah, he would do that. He would do that. And it would be a win for her, but it would probably cause aggro that's not really necessary. But there again, I mean, causing aggro that isn't necessary seems to be what they're about. Final thing, if you apparently from March 25, this week, this Wednesday, you will be able to tap your credit card to go on the trains, on nearly all the trains in Tokyo, including the subways, except for JR, except for the Yamanote line and the JR lines. JR, not interested, not having it, no plans to do it. But everywhere else, you'll be able to tap your credit card, just like you can do on trains in most countries other than Japan. So, yeah, that's a thing. That is all my topics. We got there. 4 minutes over, but I started a little bit late. 1 hour, 1 minute. We got there in the end. Great to see everybody. Wow, so many people came in here. I really, really do appreciate everybody coming in here and keeping me company every week. I am going to go and set up the after party where you guys pick all the music. And thanks as always for keeping me company every Sunday. Hope. So, why are Aaron's eyes bleeding? I saw a hot pink Tesla truck. I respect that they're owning it. I mean, you might as well go lean all the way into it. But yeah, anyway, come and join me at the after party. You guys pick the music. We're going to make it. I discovered what happened with the BPMs last week. It was a thing with the way that I've indexed my library. So I'm going to make it between 120 and 150 beats per minute. In fact, yeah, 110, 150 beats per minute. We'll go do that over on the after party, but otherwise I will see you. You can follow me on all the socials. Definitely let me know if you want to come and see Louis C.K. in Tokyo with me and give me a break, man, and some other very, very cool people on Monday the 30th of March. And otherwise, have an excellent week, and I'll see you all next week. Have a good one, everyone. Boom. Peace. Ending the stream. Where's the button? Oh, Ida, great to see you, Ida. And P. Morton, 7960, great to see you. And Musashi Mark, great to see you. 7536, thank you for saying hi. Boom. Maddie, 6878, Maddie, great to see you. Boom, ending stream.